Good morning. This is your friendly neighborhood shade tree mechanic, Carl. I decided to replace the Serpentine belt in my 2015 Mazda Sport 5. It was showing signs of cracks. So thanks to YouTube, my cousin, the handy auto mechanic, and a couple of hands from a friend, I was successful in getting it changed. I noticed a couple of things that weren't on any of the videos that I looked at that I ran into and needed to adjust, fire, and do. But I've done the work, so I'm just kind of doing a walkthrough on what I actually did. So first of all, the money that I saved doing the work myself, I estimate if I'd have had the shop do it, could have been anywhere from like 110 to 150. I was able to take that money saved and purchase a 3-ton floor jack at Harbor Freight. They're going to be on sale for 80 bucks. They said they would give me that price here in a couple of weeks. And a couple of 3-ton jack stands. Those are about 25 bucks. And then the belt itself was about 28 bucks. So if you add it up, I saved basically the money doing the work myself. Highly recommend getting the floor jack and the jack stands whenever you're going to do any kind of work underneath your vehicle. You never want to do it with the jack that comes with the car to change a flat. So first of all the videos said the first thing you do is get underneath, jack the car up, take the passenger wheel off, get underneath, remove the splash guard. There's a few metal screws to do that. There's a side panel that is right here that comes off. You need to get this, take the screws off for that. And that gives you bottom access, which is what you need to get to the tensioner pulley and remove the serpentine belt and put the new belt on. I also noticed while I was under here that I have some struts that are leaking, so I'll probably have to replace those. Anyway, so got the car ready. What I learned that wasn't on any of the videos that was very important was a couple of things. First of all, nobody recommended getting the proper tool to remove the tensioner pulley, and you can get these, rent them for free basically from AutoZone, Pep Boys, probably other stores. And what worked for me is the breaker bar part. The sockets didn't work because for my car it required a 14mm shallow socket, and by shallow they're very short. These do not come this way at any store. I went to several hardware stores and auto stores. You can't buy those for 14mm, and I didn't want to wait and buy something online. I tried these claw hooks. They do have a 14 claw hook. All it was doing was just slipping off the tensioner pulley bolt, and I couldn't get a good bite. So first thing was, yes, get this. You can rent it for free. I'll return it today and I get my money back. You just have to put a deposit so you don't walk off with it. And I was able to get my 14mm bolt on there that I had, or socket, I'm sorry, because what I realized that needed to be done that no video said to do, make your life easier. There's a couple of hoses right here. I think these carry water, I believe. Anyway, a couple of hoses right here, and they're held in with a bolt and a plate. It goes through this hole right here. Once this is in place, there's no way to get a regular size socket with that breaker bar, much less any kind of a ratchet. There's no way that would even go in there. It's just too close to this part right here and this wall. So anyway, I took that nut off, pushed it out, moved it down. I was able to get my socket and that breaker bar in there to move the tensioner pulley, which allowed me to take the old belt off. I wanted to take the old belt off instead of cut it. I just want to make sure that I could do that in case something went haywire, I could at least drive the car somewhere and get the work done. But I was able to move the tensioner pulley, and I'll try to get a view looking down. It's hard to see from here. The tensioner pulley's down in there. There's other videos that are much better there that you can watch and see where exactly the tensioner pulley is. The other thing that I did was highly recommend drawing a sketch before you do anything of the configuration of how the belt winds around all the various accessories. This matched with what other people drew and with other diagrams that are actually out there for this particular car. And so I referred to this several times as I was trying to snake on the new belt. Highly recommend you do that. So the last thing that none of the videos mentioned that needed to be done, the videos that I watched anyway, was the best way to put the belt on, like what pulley would be last. And so what I found out, and that's where I needed a couple of extra hands from a friend that stopped by to help me, as I was down on my back under the car with the breaker bar, taking the tension off the tensioner pulley. There's a smooth pulley. By smooth, it doesn't have the teeth in it. And I believe it is, I'm looking at my diagram, it's the water pump pulley. So the water pump pulley is this one right here. That's the water pump pulley, and it has a smooth, doesn't have the grooves. That's the grooves from the belt, the outside of the belt. So when I was on my back taking the tension off the tensioner pulley, I reached up underneath to the bottom of this to hold it on, and my friend worked the top and slid it up here above. So he was working, sliding this over while I was keeping the bottom from coming off, and we got it on in 2 shakes. Once he came over and did that, we worked together, we got it on in no time at all. And make sure that it's on all the grooves where it needs to be in the groove parts of all the pulleys before you start it up. And we started it up, and it's self-centered on this smooth pulley just fine. And now it's ready to take off the jack stands and get her back on the road. So again, just to review, the 3 things that I didn't find in any of the videos I watched were: get free rental on this. This is what you need, this breaker bar, I call it, this long handled rod that can accept a 3/8 inch drive 14 millimeter socket for the idler pulley, and take the nut off and slide this plate off with these 2 hoses, get it out of the way so you could get your 14 millimeter socket onto the idler pulley. And the last one was which pulley to put on last after you snake it around all the different pulleys. Put it on the last pulley that I mentioned, and then those were the 3 things, what I would say is value added to everything else that I was able to do. So all right, signing off for now. Bye.